So let's start with Simon Parks's video. And I know Simon Parks personally. Simon Parks, in my view, I was asked by someone about this. I think he's in my top 10% in terms of both access and veracity. When Simon Parks speaks, you should listen. I certainly do.
Hello and welcome to the promised update, the 29th of November, just ready to roll into December now. Had a couple of days, 3 days or so off from me. I hope the break was good. And I got some news, and those who have read the update I put on the website, I said that I would have to not speak in code, but I'd have to be quite careful. I can't, unfortunately, just tell you as it is. I've got to be very, very careful, but I can try and say what I've got to say, and hopefully you'll be able to read in between the lines. I've always tried to bring you up-to-date information. I've tried to bring you information that's not available anywhere else, and where it is available anywhere else, I've been able hopefully to give you the extra infill parts to it. First of all, my much loved ex-United States coordinator did send me a question saying, is it true that there were casualties in the attempt to take the German CIA safe house, the facility where the Dominion servers and SciTech or SciTol were based? And I said to you quite accurately that I didn't ever want you to imagine a massive gun battle like you'd see in a Hollywood blockbuster, you know, and people are on the streets shooting into a building, and that wasn't the case. But I said there was a standoff. Those of you who've got the time can look back. There was a standoff between and my exact words were something like the station manager or the head of the centre, and there was a bit of a standoff. What I can confirm is that 5 United States military serving soldiers were killed in action inside the building in a fight, and that a senior member of the CIA who was there was wounded in the fight. This is a bad guy, and was arrested. You will remember that I said to you that the heads of the FBI and the heads of the CIA will probably be looking for a new job. And again, I don't know how many podcasts back that was, but you might remember me saying that. And I would suggest to you that one of those positions has already been vacated. Excuse me. One has already been vacated, and a new appointment will be made at some point fairly soon. One of those appointments was actually in Germany at the time that it was raided, and that is why that person is no longer head of that organization at the moment. Like you, I have always got very tired of being told of mass arrests. This person's supposed to be arrested, that person's supposed to be arrested. You know, if half of it was true, you know, it would all be a done deal and we'd be in utopia. So when we look at, you know, the backdrop of the last few years, we are continually getting our hopes up and thinking something's happened, something's not happened, and then we never hear anything again. But I am actually quite clear with everybody. Oh, come on then, come and say hello. I am actually quite clear, say hello, that I can put it this way to you. Those of you who have the ability to look online would have checked the number of flights, airplane flights from the United States that have been very much active, military flights. There's something usually in the region of 250 flights a day. That's on average, I understand. 250 flights, someone's happy there. 250 flights a day, and we've been looking at between 500 600 flights a day. And what I can say to you is that many of those aircraft were military personnel being moved around the US, but quite a lot of those flights were on their way to the Guantanamo Bay and the facility in Cuba. I believe Americans refer to it as Gitmo. So I can tell you that a number of people associated with the Dominion server, and not just that, but the attempt to overthrow the United States government through a fraud, have actually been arrested, are in the process of being arrested, and in the process of being taken off the mainland to Cuba. Here's the bit that I've got to be so careful with. There was all the talk about the Hunter Biden laptop. That was quite a big thing, and nothing seemed to come of it. Do you remember? And nothing really rolled out on that one. And there was talk about who was taking money from China and all that sort of stuff, and it was doing the rounds in social media, but it never made it really officially, because no police authority or no the FBI, for instance, didn't actually seem to want to get involved in it. And you'll know that there was an executive order made by Trump that said that specifically if Biden became in a position where he could be a president-elect, then he would have to declare any foreign income. When President Trump agreed to let Biden have $7 million worth of taxpayers' money, which allowed him to have a military briefing, security briefing, have some office space, and move into the position of president-elect. That was a trick, because when Biden accepted $7 million of taxpayers' money, he then became actionable under this executive order, which means that Biden has to make clear the amount of monies he's got from China and what that's for. But that's not what I want to tell you. Well, I do want to tell you, but it's not the important point. And if it comes to fruition, you heard it here first. All right. Going back to those arrests, we often hear about indictments being written, and for people in Great Britain, if you think about the word indictment, it's not something we have here in Britain. In the British equivalent is the word charge. So in Britain, a police officer charges you, but in America, it's an indictment. It's somewhat different, I think. I can tell you that the key names associated with a certain laptop are having indictments drawn up against them. I say as we speak. I mean, I'm 6 hours ahead of the US, but there is a very real prospect of indictments for that group, that family, being in that position doesn't appear to have protected them from trying to overthrow the whole fabric of the United States of America. In other words, we should, in the days ahead, hear some news which will make every believer in truth and every believer in the true word of democracy, the true meaning of it, sit up and take notice. And I kicked off all of these podcasts after the saying that those people around the president had to stay true. Those people around the president had to do the job that they said they would do when they put Trump into that position. When Trump agreed to be the tough guy to take on the deep state, then it could only work if the people around him would follow through. And it does look as if they're following through. The information that I have received is very clear that there is no intention to let the United States of America be hijacked, to let the election system be defrauded, and to have the president removed illegally. There is a very strong possibility that the seriousness of what has occurred, the very threat to the whole nation of the United States, to the Constitution, to everything that you guys in America and those of us in other countries look at and understand and accept, the threat to that is so great that it is not improbable that President Trump may do an historic third term. In other words, the shake-up from what is unfolding now may be so great, and the fear that the United States was on the verge of being taken over by a communist, that's exactly the word I'll use, a communist conspiracy, that there's going to need to be a considerable period of time to kick out all of those conspirators, to get to grips with how the media has been, to get to grips with those individuals who have supported sedition, and that may take a long time. Now, I'm not saying definitely that President Trump could do 3 terms. I'm saying that from the information that I've received, it's not unlikely that he could be in the position to take a 3rd term if that's what he wanted to do, simply because the disaster that only the surface is being scratched, but is apparent to those people in the know, but is not apparent to ordinary people. The impending disaster is so great, and the need for stability is so strong that may be happening. I always predicted that President Trump would get 300 plus votes, college votes. I always said it would be 300. And again, those of you who are not interested in listening to me, that's fine. But those of you who have listened to me, you'll know that you'll remember I've said that. And I always thought between 300 and 350 college votes, which would be pretty good. But from those people who are decoding the information from the Dominion hardware and the software that runs on it, are telling me that President Trump won nearer to 400 college votes. 400. I mean, that is incredible. But it's not that incredible if you listen to Connecting Consciousness members all over the United States who live in America and say, we're not surprised because the tide of worry, the concern against a communist takeover was so strong that a vast number of people voted for Trump. So, I said 300, 350, but I'm being told it was nearer to 400 college votes. I don't know if that's a historical record. I don't know my American history well enough, but that's an incredible landslide. So the news I'm giving you is that there are indictments being drawn up for some of the biggest names, that a lot of people are being rounded up, both United States citizens and people from outside the United States, and are being put on airplanes and sent out to Cuba. And what that tells us is that President Trump and the White Hats have absolutely no intention of allowing the Constitution of the United States to be destroyed by a foreign power. That's exactly what we're talking about here. So I can't be more clear. Well, I can be, but I'm not going to be. There is some massive news about to break on this subject. The media have destroyed themselves for a generation. Who in the name of the Lord is going to actually listen and believe the media who have taken us down a particular road and then are going to be shown for exactly what they are? This is a reset in the democratic sense, in the true democratic sense of the United States. It's not a financial reset. I'm talking about a whole way that the US works. And I can say to you that experts will be brought in to strengthen the Constitution. Because of what's happened, the Constitution has been wonderfully robust. There are so many pathways through to stop this communist takeover, but that doesn't prevent experts at a later date being brought together to look at the Constitution, to maybe add addition to it, to add strength where it might be needed. So I can only see good things coming from this, and I really do want to counter the mainstream news. And just to say that the mainstream news made a big thing about certain court cases that were thrown out, and of course they said this was because President Trump's team didn't have a case. They didn't have any real evidence. But I do want to tell you is that that was all designed and planned because it allowed a much faster route to the Supreme Court. So rather than it being argued, make a date, argue it by saying, no, I'm not taking it, means it can be immediately appealed up to higher courts. So, don't believe what you're being sold. So it's very exciting news, and there is some other bits that at this stage I'm not going to say, simply because I just don't feel that I can. Maybe I can never say it. Don't believe that if you listen to me in 3 days' time I'll tell you. I don't know. There's some parts there I can't. Probably I can never say. But what I can say is that justice is coming for these people, and I don't think anyone's ever seen me dance. You don't want to see me dance, but I'll tell you what, when certain of these big names are indicted and arrested and charged, I will do a little dance, I think, because there's no way you can hold any sort of office in the United States if you've got a serious charge leveled against you. You just can't do it. You have to have your name withdrawn. You can't do it. So we're very pleased to have received that information, very pleased to pass it on in the covered manner that I have. And I'm just quite confident that things will work out. So thank you for taking the time. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.